Alright, so welcome today to a video on solving multivariable linear equations for a variable. So this is a bit different than what we're used to because we're going to have variables equaling variables. There's going to be x's, y's, a's, b's, c's, and we're going to have to get them to where we have one variable by itself and the others are going to be on the other side. And this is going to be odd. It is going to be a bit difficult to start out with, but it's fine. We just need to remember that what a variable is actually a number. So you can add a variable, subtract a variable, multiply, divide a variable, just like you would a number. It's just you're not going to get, a different number. We could get different variables, which is where the rules come in. So we have these 5 rules here that I would like us to go with and follow. We're going to go over those before we actually start doing some examples. So rule number 1 says you can only add and subtract like variables. So we can only add and subtract like variables. X's with X's, Y's with Y's, A's with A's. You can't mix X's and Y's when you add and subtract. However, for rule 2, we can multiply or divide any variable with any number or variable. So you can do X times Y and get something. Or you can do Y divided by Z and get something. When I say a variable by itself, I mean it's X equals something, Y equals something, etc. And we need to remember that when we move something that's a number by X, by addition or subtraction, the number and the X stay together. We don't just subtract the number. We subtract the number and the X. And when we write, we want to put the variables in front of our numbers. So we want this to say 3x plus 7, not 7 plus 3x. So let's go ahead with our first example. And we are going to do solving for y, x plus 2y equals 4. So we want to get the y by itself. We're going to just act like these are numbers. So this is just our multi-step equations. So this is just like all the multi-step equations we had, where we're trying to get the y by itself. So we are going to move the thing not with y. So the 2 is with y, so we're going to move the x. So we're going to move x by subtracting 1x to both sides because it is not with the y. Okay. So we subtract x to both sides. So we get 2y equals, and then we want to put x's in front because of rule 5, so we get minus x, and then that's a positive 4. Now we need to move the 2. So we are going to move the times 2 by dividing by 2 to everything on both sides. So we're going to divide 2 and divide everything on that side by 2. Everything. So it's not just one thing, we're going to divide everything. So that leaves us with y equals, and then we can't simplify that, so we just leave it as negative x plus 4 divided by 2. And that is the answer. And yes, I know that is weird. It is way different than anything you've seen before, but it's okay. We will get through this. Okay, so the next example has many more steps to it. So our next example, we're going to solve for x, and it is 3x plus 7 minus 3y equals 9y minus 6z. So to start off with, I just want to let you know that the y and the z, we're not giving them any particular weight. It doesn't matter if y comes before z or z comes before y. I normally like to follow the alphabet when I do it just because it helps my brain, but it doesn't really matter whenever there's a singular variable like that. So we are solving for x. So we have two things here that are not with x, and we cannot combine them. It does not matter what we move first. Does not matter what we move first. However, I just want to move this minus 3y first. So we move minus 3y by plus 3y to both sides. And we got to make sure that when we do that, we line them up. Negative 3y plus 3y gives us 0. 9y plus 3y equals 12y. So now we get 3x plus 7 equals 12y minus 6z. You'll notice I put marks through my z's so you know they are not 2's. Now we need to move the 7. So we move plus 7 by subtracting 7 to both sides. And then I did a bad job earlier, but we want to line these up since it's different. And what this tells us is that plus 7 minus 7 equals 0. And then what we have over here is a 0. So 0 minus 7 equals negative 7. So we now get 3x equals 12y minus 6z minus 7. And then the final step that we get to do is we get to move our times 3 by dividing 3 to everything. Now, we've been doing this the whole time. We've been dividing to everything. It's just there's just been one thing on that side. Now we've got multiple things. So we divide 3 to everything. And we get our final answer of x equals. We can do 12 divided by 3, negative 6 divided by 3. But we can't do negative 7 divided by 3. So it's just going to stay like this. And there we go.